A 3-day festival, transactions nearing 300 million RMB, tourism consumption driven by the event exceeding 20 million, a single town's e-commerce grossing 1.1 billion a year. The hulu, a unique object I once thought only the older generation could appreciate, a cultural symbol passed down for years, steeped in religious and philosophical meaning. It possesses a complete industry chain, and is now attracting more and more young people, pulsing with unprecedented life. What is the sacred charm of this humble gourd that makes the older generation cherish it and compels non-conformist young people to eagerly buy in? How does it effortlessly create an annual output worth billions and potentially become the next $10 billion market? With these questions, I came to China's largest Hulu event, the annual Liaocheng Gourd Culture Festival. According to official reports, this year's festival gathered over 7,800 stalls. This includes gourd growers from all over the country, intangible cultural heritage inheritors, carving and painting artists, and creative souvenir vendors. This event, which started in 2007, is now in its 17th year. And just 10 kilometers away lies Changyichang, the hometown of Chinese gourd carving art, and Luzhuang Village, known as China's #1 Hulu village. Here, the town's annual Hulu output reaches 1.8 billion RMB, accounting for over 70% of the national Hulu market. In 2024, its e-commerce sales hit 1.1 billion. This is the largest Hulu distribution center in the country. In traditional Chinese culture, the hulu holds a unique significance. It has left indelible classic images in many famous works of art. And through years of local cultivation and cultural heritage, it has developed complex cultural and religious attributes. In ancient China, the hulu first existed as a utensil, a tool for carrying water. In old wedding ceremonies, a hulu would be cut in half, connected by a red string and filled with wine. The bride and groom would each drink from one half in a harmony toast. This is the origin of the cross-cupped wine ceremony. The wine is sweet, but the gourd's inner lining is slightly bitter. This ritual symbolizes that the couple will share both sweetness and bitterness. It's much like a Western wedding where the officiant guides the vows, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health. After drinking, the two halves are joined to form a whole gourd and placed under the bed, symbolizing their long life together. Thus, the hulu became an auspicious symbol of marital union and companionship. When a dried hulu is shaken, you can hear the seeds inside. The word for seeds sounds like the word for sons in Chinese, so it symbolizes many children and, by extension, more wealth. The word hulu itself is a homophone for fulu. Fu means fortune, happiness, and luck. Lu refers to a government salary, food, or official rank and power. Because of this, the hulu became a powerful symbol of spiritual hope and faith. Furthermore, in Taoist culture, the hulu's S-shaped exterior is seen as a miniature model of the Tai Chi symbol. It's believed to absorb the chi of heaven and earth, as well as ward off evil spirits and disasters. Honestly, at first, I assumed this whole hulu business was propped up entirely by this cultural consensus built by the older generation. Even the Hulu Brothers cartoons and the purple gold gourd from Journey to the West, those are cultural products from decades ago. What young person today would still be paying for gourds? To test this theory, I even designed a simple questionnaire, trying to see what kind of connection contemporary youth could possibly have with the hulu.
跟葫芦相关的小调查，花您30秒时间问您几个简单的问题，可以吗？算了。
But after being repeatedly turned down, I suddenly remembered. The data quality from this kind of random survey is often terrible. I realized I didn't need survey data. The answer wasn't in their words. It was in the moment they voted in their wallet. It was in their furrowed brows as they carefully selected their items. So I changed my strategy. I stopped focusing on their words. I started watching their hands and their eyes, and very quickly, the answer presented itself right in front of me. The impenetrable crowds, the endless stream of real transactions, merchants buying in bulk from each other, individual buyers with bags stuffed to the brim, the excited chatter of young women at the cultural creative stores. All of it proved one thing. Young people do have spending power, and young people are more than happy to fall down this rabbit hole. There are some categories and designs that you can tell, at a glance, belong to the memory of the older generation. Whether it's a hand-twisted hulu that the old collectible circle loves to polish, or the ornaments carved with dragons and phoenixes, painted with symbols of Fulu Shouxi, or birds and flowers, or miniature Buddhas, their influence on young people is clearly waning. Unless they come from a family tradition or were exposed to it from a young age and have studied traditional culture, how many young people would really be interested in this kind of thing? The Wenwan collectors of the past always talk about you must apply maintenance oil, polish it with your own hand, let it sun dry, until the gold transforms from greenish yellow to a dry, smooth, brownish red. It becomes a unique status symbol that you yourself have nurtured. In my opinion, this is just a self-aggrandizing niche for hardcore enthusiasts. It's a way to build a unique packing order to turn a simple botanical craft, which doesn't have much intrinsic value, into a high-value, greater full art asset. But young people have their own aesthetics. Tastes are diverse and individual, and that's perfectly fine. There's no need to deliberately cater to the imprint of a bygone era. The veteran players, the old guard artists and fans, will eventually age. Without an influx of young people, without fresh blood, the hulu market would inevitably decline. But now, a new generation of hulu creators is emerging on the production side, showing off their creativity, identifying and catering to the aesthetics of their generation. Compared to the old generation's pursuit of poetic landscapes and master calligraphy on the gourds, young people are flocking to the creative merchandise related to hulu, the handmade figurines, the uniquely designed modern accessories, and the high-end, exquisitely crafted, elegant art pieces. After seeing so many different kinds of hulu, I've summarized the product metrics for this industry. Many business opportunities are hidden right here. We can divide the hulu on sale into two dimensions, based on the stage of processing. One is pre-harvest treatment, and the other is post-harvest processing. To be specific, before harvest, there are multiple base types. After harvest, there are 3 major processing methods. When combined, they can form 9 composite types. Let's set the base type as the y-axis. We can divide it into standard base, customized base, and rare base. This classification is based on the hulu as a plant or the core selling points shaped during cultivation. The differences in appearance are quite obvious. For example, this classic figure 8 shape is the most common. We'll classify it as a standard base. But ones like this Buddha's head, this ingot-shaped money bag, or the twisted, flattened, or even swan-shaped ones, these are all shaped during cultivation using molds, ropes, and other artificial interventions. Then there are some really bizarre, exaggerated shapes, which are said to come from special varieties and unique breeding techniques, like the Liaocheng, which is barely bigger than a bee, or the Du, which looks uncannily like an ant, and others like the Mexican or pimpled hulu. They all seem rare and unusual, so I classify them as a specialty base. Most of what I just mentioned only needs rough processing after harvest. They are generally skinned, dried, and then put on shelves. This is the raw and natural type that the older generation and the Wenwan circle admire. Now, if you take these various hulu shapes as a base and apply creativity through painting, assembly, carving, and other forms of secondary processing, incorporating elements like tassels, necklaces, polymer clay, Chinese knots, graphic symbols, or pictographic meanings, you get this fresh, unique, creative peripheral product. These hulu are even more diverse. Theoretically, they can be made into almost any IP. They expand the emotional value beyond the gourd itself, making them especially irresistible to young people. Go one step further. Take any hulu base and add the meticulous design of a master artist, or combine it with traditional folk art, and you get a high-value, highly collectible, true work of art that appeals to all tastes. For example, combining a rare lotus head hulu with exquisite carving and painting, or with the stunning Chinese lacquer craft. These artworks usually incorporate a unique technique passed down for years, or come from the hands of a famous artist. They require a long production cycle, and their prices are, of course, much higher. One more issue. Most physical products have a quality yield problem. Since artist processing on a finished hulu is more controllable, let's focus on the yield rate before and during simple processing. The quality of the hulu skin, the degree of loss or blemishes, the fullness and symmetry of its shape, the harmony of its proportions. This all determine its scarcity in the eyes of consumer or collectors. The rarer, fuller, more uniform, and flawless it is, the more popular it will be. Whether as a raw material for further processing, or as a collectible for an expert to admire, it will always be worth that much more. Enthusiasts in the Wenwan circle will spend all their energy to collect, polish, maintain, and treasure hulu that are perfectly symmetrical, have smooth skin, or are naturally unique and carry auspicious meanings. In short, before I looked into hulu this closely, I never imagined there could be so many variations and selling points. If you can find the one that you are good at and passionate about, maybe you and I could make a fortune too. As twilight descends and the market begins to wind down, I arrive at a store that I just can't walk away from. Where did I, as a young person, accidentally fall down the rabbit hole? It was this, the Chinese lacquer. I was struggling earlier, wondering if this market was completely split between the old generation and the young generation. But as I looked at this hulu, the delicate lacquer surface, the complex craftsmanship, the sense of time settled within it. The moment I made the payment, I realized I had found my answer. I think this can be the intersection point, the place where the old and young generations can find a shared consensus of appreciation. This might even be one of future modes for the value of hulu craftsmanship.
手工刷上去的吗？
Trendy, viral merchandise might go out of style. The traditional Wenwan polishing might remain a self-contained, insular circle. But beauty itself, the pursuit of exquisite craftsmanship, that is universal. It appeals to all. But even if high-end craft and elegance is one of the modes, even if it brings higher value to the industry, is that enough to support a $10 billion future? Can you defend your way into a new era? I suddenly thought of the film industry. Disney, Marvel. They turned Asian myths and comic books into global businesses worth tens or hundreds of billions of dollars. Japan's last 30 years were also the 30 peak years of its anime industry, which exported countless world-class IPs. I realized the mode is only half the story. The real tipping point for this industry, the massive, circle-breaking potential that can attract outsiders, is probably still dormant. The Hulu Brothers cartoon, the purple gold gourd, even Gaana from Naruto. These are already powerful cultural symbols embedded in the memories of generations. The new black myth Wukong is also gaining huge influence at home and abroad. So where is the new world of the gourd? I believe there are two directions. First, continue to dig deep on modes like the lacquer craft and carving, defending quality and style, while partially integrating contemporary aesthetics. Second, we need a true game changer to emerge. Someone with the ambition of building the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with the modern business savvy of creating a designer toy IP, to reactivate a super IP like the Hulu Brothers, to create the purple gold gourd for this era, one that can make young people all over the world go crazy for it. This Asian industry, its story, perhaps, is just beginning to unfold.